She is a shadow that never left the earth. Her torches still burn at the edge of dreams, and her name is whispered at midnight by those who dare ask the old questions. She is Hecate, the goddess of magic, of boundaries, of death and birth, and everything in between. And though the gods tried to erase her, they never truly could. Because she was never just a goddess. She was a force. While the world remembers Zeus's thunder and Athena's wisdom, Hecate lingers in the background, where the veil is thin and the light flickers uncertainly. She was not built for Olympus. She did not belong in marble halls and golden thrones. She was born of something older, deeper, more terrifying. Before the Olympians rose, there were the Titans, and before them chaos. From that ancient starless void came primordial powers, and from those powers came Perseus, the Titan of destruction, and Asteria, the goddess of falling stars and night prophecy. Their union brought forth Hecate. She was not born in war or in love, but in silence. In that sacred stillness between worlds where one thing ends and another begins. She did not emerge with a cry like Athena or thunder like Zeus. She emerged holding a flame, quiet, steady, unshaken. When Zeus overthrew the Titans and carved the world into thrones and dominions, Hecate was spared. Zeus granted her a place of honor, allowing her dominion over sea, sky, and earth. That gesture wasn't mercy. It was respect and fear. Because Hecate didn't just govern places, she governed transitions. She was the goddess of boundaries, not just physical ones like crossroads and doorways, but spiritual thresholds, the border between waking and dream, life and death, purity and corruption. She existed wherever one world ended and another began. To the ancient Greeks, this made her both sacred and dangerous. You could pray to Apollo and expect healing. You could pray to Poseidon and ask for calm seas. But if you prayed to Hecate, you weren't asking for comfort. You were asking for power in the unknown. Witches lit candles in her name and made offerings in secret. She was called upon in childbirth, in funerals, in moments of desperation. She was invoked in curses and in protections. And while the priests of Olympus chanted in daylight, Hecate's name was muttered under breath at the edge of firelight. She walked with the outcasts, the sick, the strange, the seers. She did not demand worship. She appeared to those who already knew the truth, that the world is not black and white, but shadows and flickering torches. She was the protector of those who wandered, the midwife of transformation. To call upon her was to ask for change, and not always the kind you could control. Perhaps her most enduring symbol is that of the triple goddess, the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Hecate was all three. She could appear as a young girl, radiant and curious, or as a nurturing protector, wise and watchful, or as a terrifying hag, cloaked in rotten ash, bearing the weight of the dead. And she didn't just shift between these forms. She embodied them all at once. In one hand she carried a torch to guide, in another a dagger to cut through illusion, and always she held a key, the key to thresholds not meant to be crossed. Some say she wore snakes in her hair. Others claimed her dogs had glowing eyes. Some feared her approach, others wept with gratitude, but none doubted her presence. Her power was intimate, not public. You didn't see her in temples or grand parades. You felt her when the lights dimmed, when your path split, when your breath caught in the presence of something you couldn't explain. But power like that never goes unchallenged. As the Olympians grew in popularity, temples to gods like Zeus and Apollo rose in cities across the Mediterranean. Statues were built, priests were appointed, myths were rewritten. And Hecate? She was pushed to the margins, portrayed as a sorceress, a ghost queen, a demon in some later accounts. The stories shifted. No longer was she the honored daughter of Titans and ally to Zeus. She became the goddess of witches and graveyards, of poisons and spirits. But the truth never died. One myth above all others preserved her honor. When Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, was stolen by Hades and dragged into the underworld, it was Hecate who heard her cries. While the Olympians debated and plotted, Hecate descended. Torch in hand, she searched the realms of the dead. She guided Demeter in her mourning. And when Persephone was finally allowed to return, it was Hecate who walked beside her. From that day on, Hecate became Persephone's companion, standing beside her both in springtime bloom and underworld rain. She was not just a goddess of the dead. She was a companion to those who moved between worlds. Over time, her worship changed. She wasn't erased, she was repurposed. In some regions, she became a guardian of thresholds and homes. In others, she was feared as the goddess of necromancers and restless spirits. Dogs were sacred to her, especially black ones. And her presence was said to be felt in sudden gusts of wind or the soft scrape of footsteps where no one walked. By the time Rome absorbed the Greek pantheon, Hecate had become a secret, kept alive in midnight rituals and whispered stories. She was never truly embraced by the empire. She didn't lend herself to conquest, and when Christianity spread, it had no room for a goddess like Hecate, a goddess who defied categorization, a goddess who existed in the gray. So she was recast again, this time as a witch, a heretic, a devil's ally. But myths are resilient, and those who walk through darkness still found her. In the Middle Ages, she re-emerged in the grimoires of occultists. In the Renaissance, she appeared in paintings, a mysterious triple figure cloaked in stars. In modern times, she became a symbol for those seeking independence, magic, and rebellion. She found worshippers among Wiccans, feminists, and those drawn to the old gods forgotten by time. Even now, in quiet corners of the world, her name is still spoken. By those who stand at personal crossroads, by those seeking clarity in the dark, and by those ready to face their own transformation. Today, Hecate is more than a myth. She's a symbol. She represents the courage to face the unknown, the wisdom to hold light and dark in balance, the power that exists not in conquest, but in knowing. She is the torch that burns when no other light remains. Her shrines still exist. Some are ancient stones at forgotten crossroads. Others are candlelit shelves in urban apartments. And some are simply moments when you pause at a decision point, unsure of which path to take. That's where she waits, not to guide you, but to watch what you'll choose. Because Hecate does not force, she reveals. She reminds us that truth is not found in daylight alone. Sometimes the answers live in shadow. So the next time you stand at a crossroads, literal or spiritual, remember her. Light a candle, step forward, and know that the goddess they tried to erase is still very much alive. If you're drawn to forgotten gods, ancient truths, and myths the world left behind, subscribe, join us, and help keep the fire burning.